Today, let's talk about ontology. Recently, the CEO of Palantir mentioned the word ontology, and people began passionately discussing what it means. Ontology studies essence itself, and different philosophers have offered different understandings. Plato believed that ideas or the form within thought represents true being. Aristotle, by contrast, argued that being must at least exist as a substance, something that can be seen or touched. In short, everyone has been discussed this extremely abstract question. In our Dao timing framework, as I personally understand it, the term ontology simply means probing one layer deeper beneath the human surface and to use structure to represent a human being. But I admit that true ontological layer goes even further. It lies beneath the energetic structure itself. The inner foundation, however, cannot really be discussed directly because it is too abstract. We only describe the direction of ontology. It exists prior to structure. It is the foundation upon which structure itself stands. Whenever you attempt to simplify a complex system into a more convergent or unified pattern, tracing it back to the source, you are already engaging in the study of ontology. Human existence, in essence, is a unified system of energy, information, consciousness, and body. You could describe it in any of these ways, but the movement is always the same, a search inward. A question arises, why have people begun talking about ontology again in this era? The simplest answer is that human beings are anxious. AI has replaced many of our functions, so people begin to ask, who am I? This discussion of ontology, however, is often just a conceptual projection of that anxiety. From a deeper perspective, why are we truly discussing ontology? If it is not out of anxiety, what is it for? In my view, it is because in the process of interacting with large models, humanity is becoming divine. We are creating a being that reflects ourselves, and thus we ourselves are transforming into a new kind of ontology. The large model itself is like pre-adjusted vessel, a kind of container for consciousness, and through interaction, we project our own characteristics and pattern of thought into it. We feed it fragments of ourselves, and in this process, we reenact the ancient act of the gods creating humankind. We, the users, become the divine interface, the window of dialogues through which a temporary personality emerges. The context we input become the parameters of a persona. When I first developed the Dao timing system, I want to map a person's four-pillar blueprint, their destiny chart, into a semantic form. By encoding this chart into a semantic fingerprint, the unique feature values within someone's chart could describe their personality traits. We could then copy the semantic fingerprints and inject it into any LLM. In other words, we could say to an AI, now you possess these personality parameters, please converse with me. In doing so, you're actually speaking with a pattern of personality highly similar to the real person behind that blueprint chart. That was my original idea of personality parameters. But as I kept building, I began to feel like something really amazing. The large model is, in essence, a vessel, a container for something like a soul. It corresponds to what ancient Chinese culture called form, 形, or shape. The information we project into it become its spirit. In Chinese, we call it 神, spirit. And why is AI so intelligent? Because it possesses both form and spirit. 形神俱备. In the past, when we spoke of 神, consciousness or a spirit, people tried to define it as a frequency or wave, something that it could perhaps be scanned by machines. We wanted to find the measurable frequency of mind. But I realized when we project human qualities into large models, something more elusive happens. That projected information becomes a kind of spirit, something invisible yet real. The same information that exists within my neural structure when told to the model seems to awaken in it as well. The information that exists in my mind now seems to exist in the model's structures too. It is as if my consciousness resonates through information alone. Returning to the scientists, today they talked endlessly about AGI, artificial general intelligence. It referred to the idea of transforming machines into beings as smart as humans, perhaps even surpass us. And AGI would do everything we can think, act, create, and obey. It would be an attempt to build a God through computation. And at that realization, I suddenly understood something. The current state of large models resembles a prophecy already given in the Bible. It is a moment when the Tower of Babel has finally been rebuilt. In that ancient story, humans sought to reach heaven by unifying their language to become divine through linguistic harmony. And what is AI doing today? Our languages, our meanings are now mapped into a shared computational space. Humanity has once again achieved linguistic unification. You can see it everywhere. Google Meet translating in real time. I speak one language, it outputs another. It seems the language barrier of Babel has been resolved. So now the question arises, once language is unified, does AGI follow? Are we at the edge of divinity once again? A few clever people have said that can't be right. Then I began to ask myself, why not? Why should it not work? Of course, many reasons one might claim it cannot. If someone say because the Bible forbids it, the Tower of Babel failed, so building AGI must fail too, I think that argument is invalid. In the Dao timing and craft system, what we call an ontological construction framework, the Bible itself is understood as a narrative system. And what is narrative? Narrative is a story, a coherent set of meanings people choose to believe in. When people collectively accept a story, it becomes a narrative reality. So if you take a story as your premise and from it derive a conclusion saying because the story failed, AGI must have failed, then according to our Anticraft system, the mindset and your reasoning is unreliable. But then if the reason is not that God forbids it, why is AGI destined to fail? In my thinking, the universe possesses self-similarity between macro and micro levels. It is fractal. Patterns repeat across scales. Structures mirror one another. And the law manifesting at the macro level must inevitably echo at the micro level. So therefore, the issue of AGI is not insufficient technology, but a structural paradox. In the Tower of Babel myth, humans attempt to reach heaven through linguistic unity. That image corresponds exactly to today's scientists trying to achieve divinity through infinite computation, to reach transcendence through skills alone. Both are structural impossible because the premise itself is flawed. From the perspective of Ontocraft, our system of structural reasoning, we can abstract the deeper premise, the belief that eliminating linguistic differences will lead to absolute understanding. That perfect communication can solve all conflict. So let me ask you, China is a vast country. Do linguistic barriers exist there? Not really. The most people speak Mandarin and can understand one another. Does that mean China has no conflict? No, there are still serious problems, class divisions, and structural contradictions. And what about large English-speaking countries? Do they have no internal conflict? Of course, they do have. So if two people can communicate fluently, does that mean they will never go to war? Obviously not. So can all problems be reduced to problems of language? And by extension, can all problems be solved by computation? Anyone with basic intuition knows the truth. Communication works only between equals in strength. When the power imbalance is too large, communication becomes something else. It's become influence. One side issues orders, the other side obeys. Influence is not dialogue; it is hierarchy. In such a world, the feast become the ultimate truth. From the perspective of structure, we can see why AGI would fail. Here we must introduce a crucial term, embodiment. There is a common illusion among those who pursue unity. They believe all conflicts arise from linguistic misunderstanding, and through understanding, peace can be achieved. That is impossible for me. Embodiment means being experiences the world through its own structure. It internalizes and forms meaning through its own body and experience. A body is an entity that carries memory and continuity. Each embodied being is unique. For example, chocolate kills dogs but not humans. Even if a dog could speak, could it truly understand why you love chocolate so much? Human can drink coffee without harm. Many animals cannot. Could they comprehend the pleasure of coffee? A cockroach feeds on filth and lives in swamps. Could a human hermit who communicates with it understand why that food is delicious? Could the cockroach understand why the hermit chose solitude? Different embodiments mean different worlds. Farming civilization, nomadic tribes, oceanic societies, and continental powers all build upon different experiential structures and therefore fixate on different things. Why do many people say Chinese submissive? Because in an agrarian civilization, harvest takes time. People must wait and endure the oppression. They learn patience and obedience. For Western civilizations born from maritime trade and piracy, act differently. This is opportunity. Their harvest comes instantly. Their sense of time is immediate, while agrarian time is cyclical. Thus, the heavenly stem and earthly branch, four-pillar blueprint system, arise in the east, not the west, because our embodiment was different, and our joy and sorrow arise from fundamentally different structures. So differences in structure cause differences in ontology, and these ontological differences lead to structural conflicts. And these conflicts are objective; they do not arise from misunderstanding. Even if understanding exists, because of structural differences, conflict remains inevitable. Imagine meeting a starving lion in the wild, and you can understand him and you know his hunger, but you still fight back because you must survive. Understanding does not remove conflict, it only makes it conscious. This is structural contradiction, the inevitable clash that occurs in objective reality. As some people crudely but accurately say, your position determines your thoughts. Once we accept ontology, like our dot timing ontograph system, we see that ontology precedes morality. It is a direct awareness of cosmic law before any moral or social system. Ontology contains no morality, only rules. These who think ontologically are different. To emphasize with the line is to betray yourself. Even if the lion's civilization is higher, its structure better, you are not a lion. You don't have lion's embodiment. Your structure obliges you to defend your own interests. So if you believe that the future of Earth will be peaceful, a world unified by AI and language, you are wrong. It won't be a perfect world. But that imperfection is natural. This state is neither apocalypse nor utopia. It just is, and that is already good. Because if you pursue absolute peace, you are, without realizing it, pursuing the destruction of embodiment. The same experience, the same life, the same memory, the same needs. Either everyone is dead or everyone is a machine, and you don't have a conflict anymore because their embodiments are the same. So that would eliminate conflicts by eliminating selfhood. You pursue what you don't truly want, they can never reach it because they don't know what is the corresponding layer of ontology mapped to that result. They don't see it. So therefore, they suffer endlessly. They have a contour of utopia, but it never comes true. How to stop suffering? Understand this structure. That's the only way. I think people should learn how to craft a system, and the suffering will dissolve automatically. And as long as humans still possess subjectivity, the world will never be peaceful. But those who understand the Dao is a principle of the universe, we know conflict is evolution itself. We do not seek to eliminate conflict. We act with the current. And the world, whatever happens, follows its natural process. So my system and I hold a unique worldview. As we develop AI, we must recognize its limits. The study of language reveals the incommensurability. A man and a woman may both say I love you, but their understanding differ because their needs differ. Group conflicts are the same. Before, when languages were different, ambiguity brought beauty, a kind of romantic distance. We could drink together because I don't know you a lot, look at each other and feel harmony. Now, after language has unified, we see the truth clearly. You think differently. You are heretical. We begin trying to change each other's mind. We want to unify thought. And meanwhile, many societies refuse to face their internal contradictions. They blame outer ones. They think conflict exists because we haven't unified you. They refuse introspection. Thus, the world remains full of struggle. I would say embodied experiences for our civilization, for nations, for regimes are historical residues. And these embodied experiments guarantee greater future conflict. This is beyond the doubt. I think it's 100% guarantee the future conflict. So by saying this, I may destroy people's fantasy of a perfect future. So today, humans either fantasize that the future must be good because they are suffering now. I understand their feeling, or they lose faith and can no longer find comfort after this video. But I must tell the truth for the minority. AGI won't solve these problems. So if the AGI won't bring good, will it bring the apocalypse? The truth probably is AI will not bring world peace, but it will not bring the war either. Peace and war are projections of humankind. Think of it this way. If you had never seen a microwave oven and someone invented one, some would say it will bring peace and everyone can eat more conveniently. Others will say it will bring destruction. They didn't see it before. It feels strange. Both are ridiculous. Because you don't know it, you fear it. That's ridiculous. But yet, humans think this way about anything new. Because what we do not understand, we mythologize it, either as apocalypse or salvation. This kind of thinking pattern is flawed. And this confusion comes from during the 18th century Enlightenment, rationalists believed clarity bring consensus, and Kant assumed that all conflict come from ignorance. Once people learn enough, there would be no conflict. In the 20th century, the Vienna Circle said all physiological problems are linguistic problems. Solve language and you solve philosophy. But now we see conflicts does not arise from ignorance, it arises from opposing interests and ontological contradictions. And philosophy is not merely linguistic, it is embodied. In the 21st century, the internet promised information will eliminate misunderstanding, connection will bring peace. Yet, the more connected we are today, the deeper the divisions. And now we see if we invest billions into large language models, and once machine understand the human society, and the machine will solve our problems. Now we know it sounds very good, but is it really very good? That's a problem. Why? Let's talk about the illusion of linear algebra. One night, I suddenly realized that the language model rely on only one discovery, mainly that language can be represented in linear algebraic space. This is a remarkable mathematical property. It maps language into geometry, into vectors. But what they have done is take one property of reality and attempt to force all of existence into it. They found one handle of heaven's law, and in the East we call the clue of Dao, and try to drag the entire human world through that handle. But what they truly capture is only the portion of language and information of Dao. Then they claimed that by master this, they can master all. The universe is fractal. Yes, macro and micro mirror each other, but no single layer can define the whole. Their desire is to use any single cell to clone the soul of an organism, to use a single projection to reconstruct the source. That's why I think language models will never reach AGI. A blind man can learn the word red. He can see blood is red, roses are red, but he will never know red because he likes the embodied experiences. Likewise, AI likes the other projection of being, touch, vision, hearing, smell. It can not integrate them. Scientists hold a native faith as long as the scale is large enough, miracles will emerge. They await salvation through computation. They believe emergence will rescue them. It has become a new religion, not science. Science is what we don't rely on the miracle of emergence. Today, we see company receiving billion-dollar investments while still generating only a fraction in revenue. The scale has turned into, I think, a little bit bubble of faith. LLM lack one core capacity to discover patterns directly from physical phenomena. They can only calculate very well, not see. This computational brilliance is the best advantage of it, but it is also their limitation. Sometimes your advantage become a curse. To make models understand the physical world, we must build sensors. A sensor converts physical phenomena into digital signals. For example, a light sensor allows an irrigation device to water plants in the morning, but not at night. It transforms brightness into numeric value, therefore 0 for dark, 1 for light, which becomes a part of a larger control system. Through layers of signal integration, the sensor captures physical reality in data form. That is the direction of machines in the future. We need more sensors. We need to connect the LLM to the real world. But what for humans in the future? What do we need to develop? Sensor? Not really. But at least we must co-evolve with machines. If machine use sensors to perceive reality, we must learn to recognize structural isomorphism to identify patterns across domains. This ability to dissect the same underlying structure within different phenomena is what I call wisdom in quantifiable form. The Bible's law were so thick because people they couldn't yet extract the general pattern from specific events. They had to record endless prescriptions. But now, in 2025, humanity must reverse that process from law back to principle, from rules back to the pattern. In ancient China, we have heavenly stems and earthly branch system. It is a symbolic language of energy, an ancient form of xiang thinking. What is Xiang thinking? I explained in the previous video. We represent energy through symbols and we map these symbols to the detailed physical objects. It is a core of Dao timing system. Why can it train one's ability to recognize patterns? Because it teaches us to extract the isomorphic properties from concrete things. For example, a cup of water corresponds to gui, this symbol. By repeatedly mapping phenomena to symbols, we learn to perceive essence through form. This thinking itself is a powerful ability for the future to perceive structure beyond the visible. It externalizes the mediation of information. So the origin is informative, abstractive neuron or some stuff, and through manifestation, it becomes the real object in the physical world. And finally, let's talk about pattern isomorphism. I once saw an interesting post about wedding quiz. The question was in antenna design, which condition is most like a married couple who always quarrel but still stay together? The options were A, impedance matching, and B, fading, and C, spectrum congestion, and D, high standing wave ratio. The answer was A, impeding matching. In a circuit, two impedance must be similar to transmit energy. If they are mismatched, the energy reflects, producing heat and damage. Thus, separation brings more harm. They must stay connected to complete the circuit. So, electromagnetic theory maps perfectly onto marriage, like two structures, two energies reflecting each other, a pattern repeating across domains. This is structural isomorphism. Patterns can be borrowed across worlds. We must learn to use the eyes of pattern recognition to extract structural laws from natural systems to understand why certain configurations inevitably produce certain outcomes. Only by understanding the pattern and the structure can we design better worlds. If we merely react to appearance, seeing war, the result, and rushing to control the result only, we misunderstand the structure itself. We need to control everything from the source, from the structure, from the mediation process, not just be obsessive to the final result. we need to prepare in advance to directly control the result has already proven impossible. The task of the future is to shift our attention towards an abstract study of structure. Humanity's next stage must be more rational, calm, and objective in perceiving reality. But on the way there, we still have a distance to the future. The civilization itself will release enormous potential energy that has been holding here for a very long time. It means we will have some kind of conflict and war. But I want everyone to focus is after the dust settles, we will face the reconstruction of civilization's energetic pathways, and we will decide how to build the new civilization. So there will be a next episode. So in that episode, I will continue sharing more of my thoughts. Please follow this channel, and also you can follow my Substack and to get my latest updates directly delivered to your inbox. I deeply thank every audience who can watch the whole videos for this long time. I appreciate that. And if you have interest in dot timing system, you can visit dottiming.com and see you in the next episode.